ever notice how men say dating at 50 is completely different from dating at 30? And they're not exaggerating. Dating in 2026 for a man over 50 isn't just harder, it's a completely different game played by different rules with a completely different landscape. When men were 30, dating meant getting her number, calling her, going out, building something. It was a relatively straightforward process. But dating at 50 in 2026 means navigating a world where most eligible women have been burned multiple times, where apps have completely changed how people meet, where the pool of women interested in a man in his 50s is significantly smaller, where there's more competition than ever. And that's just the surface of why dating in your 50s is hard. The deeper reason is that by 50, both men and women have baggage. Real baggage, not just emotional baggage, baggage from marriages, from kids, from exes, from financial complications. You're not dating someone blank anymore. You're dating someone with a history, with obligations, with patterns, with wounds. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through why dating in your 50s is genuinely hard in 2026. What's actually different about dating now compared to when you were younger, what women are actually looking for at 50, and most importantly, what this means for your approach to dating at this age. The first reason dating at 50 is hard is that the dating pool is smaller, a lot smaller. When you were 30, the majority of women your age were single. They were available. They were open to dating. But by 50, most of the quality women have either stayed married, are still processing a divorce, or have decided they'd rather be alone than be with the wrong person. The women who are available at 50 often come with complications: recent divorce, still trying to figure out their own life, not emotionally ready, comparing you to their ex, or they're available for a reason. There's something about them that's caused multiple relationships to fail. This isn't cynicism. This is just statistical reality. The pool is smaller, and the women in it often have more complications. The second reason is that women your age often aren't interested in men your age. This is the hard truth that gets discussed in whispers but rarely out loud. Many women in their 50s are looking for men in their 40s, late 30s, or even younger. They figure they get to be selective because they're still attractive and they might as well choose someone younger. Meanwhile, men in their 50s are looking for women in their 50s or women in their 40s. So there's a mismatch. And the women in their 50s who are interested in men in their 50s often have the same complications. So you're competing for a smaller pool of women who are available and interested and relatively uncomplicated. The third reason is that dating apps have made everything transactional. Women can literally swipe through hundreds of men in an evening. When you were young, if a woman agreed to go out with you, there was actual scarcity. She was your option for that night. She wasn't also texting 5 other guys. She wasn't comparing you to 20 other profiles. But now, even if she matches with you, she's also matched with 10 other men that day. She's comparing you. She's evaluating you against all of them. This creates a dynamic where everyone feels disposable, because you kind of are. There's always another option a swipe away. The fourth reason is that women over 50 have higher standards in some ways and lower standards in others, and it's confusing. They have higher standards about character, about whether you're actually emotionally available, about whether you're honest and authentic. They've been through enough to know the difference between a man who says the right things and a man who means them. But they also might have lower standards about career or money or status because at 50, those things matter less. She's probably established financially. She doesn't need to be rescued. So you can't seduce her with status or money or achievement. Those things don't move the needle. What moves the needle is whether you're genuine, whether you're emotionally healthy, whether you're actually interested in her as a person. The fifth reason is that women over 50 often have completely reasonable but also restrictive deal breakers. She might not want to deal with your kids if you have them. She doesn't want to deal with your ex. She doesn't want to blend families. She doesn't want drama. These are all reasonable boundaries, but they narrow the pool further. The sixth reason is that sex is complicated. If she's been married for 30 years and is recently divorced, she might not want to jump into sex immediately. She might need time. But she also might be worried that if she doesn't have sex with you relatively quickly, you'll lose interest and move on to someone else. Or she might be worried that sex will create emotional attachment that she's not ready for. Or she might be dealing with physical changes that make her self-conscious. All of this is normal and understandable, but it's also complicated. The straightforward physical chemistry that drove things at 30 is replaced by a more complex emotional and physical landscape. The seventh reason is that commitment means something different at 50. A 30-year-old woman might marry you and assume you're going to build a life together until you die. A 50-year-old woman might be interested in a relationship that stays exactly as it is. She might not want to move in. She might not want to merge finances. She might want to keep her independence and her space. This isn't rejection, it's actually clarity. She knows what she wants and doesn't want, but it's different from what you might have expected. The eighth reason is that competition from other things. At 30, dating was often the priority. You had time and energy and focus for it. At 50, you're managing a career, maybe kids, maybe grandkids, health issues, aging parents. Dating isn't the center of your world, and that's actually healthy, but it also means dating gets less attention and energy than it might need. The ninth reason is that the story you're telling about yourself matters more now. At 30, you were a guy with potential. You were a story waiting to be written. At 50, you're a story that's already been written, and women are reading that story. If your story is, I was married for 30 years and I'm not sure who I am without her, that's one narrative. If your story is, I was married, we grew apart, I've been working on myself, I know what I want now, that's a completely different narrative. The woman is evaluating not just who you are now, but who you've become through your experiences. The 10th reason is that at 50, you're also competing with women's independence. A woman at 50 doesn't need a man to complete her life. She doesn't need someone to provide for her or validate her or make her feel whole. So she's only going to be with you if she genuinely wants to be, not because she needs to be. And that changes the dynamic completely. Here's what all of this adds up to. Dating in your 50s in 2026 is harder because the landscape is completely different. The pool is smaller, the women are more complicated, the stakes feel higher because you're more aware of limited time. The apps have made everything transactional, the expectations are different. But here's what I want you to understand. This isn't necessarily bad news. Yes, it's harder, but it's also potentially better. Because you're not wasting time on women who aren't right for you, because the women you meet have real wisdom and experience, because you're not playing games because you're too old for games, and because if you find someone at 50 who actually wants to be with you, who genuinely chooses you, who is clear-eyed about what she's getting, that's something real. It's not the easy dating of your 30s, but if you find it, it's better. Comment if you're dating in your 50s right now and you're finding it harder than you expected. Comment if you're shocked at how different it is. Comment if you found that the smaller pool actually means better quality matches. I read every comment, and if this helped you understand why dating at 50 feels different, I'd appreciate it if you'd like this video and subscribe. It helps more men over 50 understand they're not alone in how hard this feels. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one.